Saudações a todos, povo do xamanismo. Estamos aqui em Nova Iorque, em Manhattan, no Osteria 57, uma experiência nova dentro da Roda Medicinal. É um cardápio baseado na Roda Medicinal, ó. Então o Emanuele, é o multiplicador da Roda de Estudos de Xamanismo Voo da Águia, que fez um cardápio para cada estação. E aqui nós estamos chegando no momento da primavera, uma primavera meio fria aqui em Nova Iorque, mas para mostrar para vocês como é que se celebra o espírito também das estações através da alimentação, que tem tudo a ver, não é? Você fazer uma alimentação através das estações significa que a natureza fala para você, Tó, é isso aqui que eu tenho para alimentar o seu corpo nesse momento do ano, não é? E muito diferente da gente comer qualquer coisa, ou sempre a mesma coisa, né? A gente poder se alimentar de acordo com o colorido que a natureza nos dá a cada estação. Nós vamos mostrar para vocês como é que vai ser lá. Esse aqui é Emanuele Negro, meu querido paisano, italiano que mora já há muitos anos aqui em Nova Iorque, fala português também. Ele vai explicar um pouquinho como é que foi essa inspiração dele de montar esse cardápio das estações.
Bom, para inspiração sobre esse evento não tem que buscar muito longe, porque a pessoa que mais me inspirou para organizar esse evento está aqui do meu lado, graças a Deus. O que estamos fazendo, estamos trazendo os ensinamentos da Roda Medicinal na vida das pessoas de uma forma que ela pode entrar mais simples. O que nós fazemos todos os dias é comer, é a comida, é a cozinha, é onde começa o xamanismo realmente. Todos que nós comemos é energia para o nosso corpo, os alimentos, e vamos provar, vamos inspirar as pessoas aqui em Nova Iorque, numa grande cidade onde comer comida verdadeira das estações não é sempre fácil. Vamos fazer isso explicando pra gente e depois continuando cada estação, dando um menu e oferenda para volver a uma forma de comer natural e mais saudável.
Então agora o chefe está preparando um risoto.
Which is that when we grow, there's an agricultural calendar. Okay, so there are some plants that we know when to plant. There's a certain temperature. There's some sprouts because that's how it works. So when in the winter the seed is dead, okay, it's under the earth. As the heat comes, when it reaches a certain level, a certain temperature, it can open up. So while the seed of the snap peas opens up at a temperature of 9 degrees Celsius, the seed of the eggplant only opens up above 22. That's why really we only have eggplants in the summer. It's really like a mechanical process. It's like how much sun this little seed gets. We have to remember that we are nothing but a seed. So to really put our life, attune our life to this seed, because the same energies that will act on that seed will act on us. Mitakuyeo Yasin is a mantra from Native American Indian. It means for all our relations. What this mantra teaches is that we're all connected. We are all connected, that's why you're all sitting at the same table tonight, having to interact with a stranger. We're connected to animals, we're connected to plants, we're connected to insects, and we're connected to objects. Why are we all connected? Because we all suffer from the same influence, or benefit from the same influences. The energies that are acting on a seed, on a plant, or an animal are the same ones that are acting on us. So when we gather and we
quando nós estamos juntos,
together decided to focus our energies
e
on it,
decidir
our
de
intentions on an
a
energy,
nossa
that's how we make it
energia, mesmo
strong.
a energia é mais,
Rice,
mais
for
forte.
example, is a culture that can
Arroz.
live with grain and legumes. So if in the same field your men discovered that you plant at the same time rice, legumes, and grain, because each one of them, for the amount of nitrogen that you release it into the earth through the dead roots, is gonna feed the next one coming. So what you do is you plant the first one. As the first one is ready, its roots are gonna rot it into the ground. Those roots are gonna give the nitrogen that is necessary to the earth
E tem uma
to actually grow
sequência
the
dentro da
following
planta,
one.
só quando
When
você
then
está
man tries
plantando
to
uma
make
coisa, depois a
intensive
raiz
cultures, what does he have to do? Oh, I put only this one here because I want to get the most out of it. And it doesn't work as well as if you do it naturally with another one. But what happens is one company specializes in selling rice and the other one specializes in selling legumes. And so they can't really get together and
Você vai
figure out
fazer
that we
outra
have to
planta
spend
desta
the two of them
terra.
together. But if we were following all of those knowledge, which is written actually,
Se
the
nós estamos
calendario
seguindo
agricola
esse
comes from the Romans
conhecimento que está na verdade
2,000 years
escrito
ago.
no
We
calendário
wouldn't need all
agrícola,
of these pesticides.
mas não
Because what you
precisamos
do is
todos
like you
esses
plant
pesticidas.
mint, you plant basil, you plant sage next to your grain, and those act like pesticides. Animals know this. The animal totem of the spring is the golden eagle, because that's when we fly high. That's
Então,
also
animal do
Leo's
barreira é
power
águia
animal. Huh?
dourada.
The golden eagle that flies high, the golden eagle that
Águia
can look
dourada
into
que
the sun,
está-
which is the element of the
que
spring.
está voando muito alto.
The eagle, when they make their nest, they will put inside the nest herbs
Olha como
keep
está
away
preparando
the
sua
insects,
casa
so that they
para
don't
poder
bite
ter ervas
their
dentro
baby.
da
This is how
casa
refined,
sua.
you know, we think that we have discovered something because we burn some palo santo in our houses. Eagles are already putting herbs in their nests to protect their babies. So
Para proteção
I
dos
invite
bebês.
everyone to just think a little bit what are
Estou
we doing
convidando
to go
todos
against
para
nature? From something simple, we want to
para
have too much
pensar
AC
pouco
in the
que nós
summer.
estamos
Take a
fazendo.
breath before you turn on the AC. Try to accept that it's hot. And when you turn on your AC, put it like
Pensa
5 degrees
depois,
lower
antes
than you
de
would have
você
wanted,
vai
higher than
poder
you
o
probably wanted it to
ar-condicionar, por
be.
exemplo.
The repercussion of simply
Porque está
everyone
quente agora.
lowering their AC of 5 degrees will be humongous on the planet. And if we don't really start, then we're going to have to figure something else out because there's not going to be any
Para
more
usar
AC.
o ar-condicionado vai ser uma grande
How are we doing with this risotto?
uma grande coisa no mundo.
A course based on roots. So in the winter, all the life is under the ground. So that's why the component of the dish is roots. All the roots grow under the ground. So and then winter also is, in my mind, is something that is dry, something that is decomposed. Okay. So that's why on the dish we have some radish powder and dry wild arugula. Okay, so you can feel the strong flavor of the arugula, the spiciness of the arugula. But what is nice that you can feel the flavor also if the ingredient is dry and not fresh. So we're gonna have roast parsnips, roast carrots, and with salsify, that is another root. I made this salsify puree. And on top, we're gonna finish with pickled mustard seeds, because life is everything goes. The life is a seeds, not so. Winter is when you.
Semente de mostarda.
In the winter, the life is underneath. Winter is dead. In our wheel, winter is death, spring is the time of birth, are the first few years of life. Summer is our adult life and autumn is our aging. But even in the time of death, life is present. So when everything looks dead, life is happening underneath, the same way that our soul is simply not present on earth as we are dead, but its travel continues in the infinite age. Winter is the unseen part. It's actually one of the longest part of our age. You know, there is the birth, our life, our aging, and the whole course of our life. So the roots are underneath. When a seed falls from the tree in autumn, there's life in it. But that is just the hope of life. We don't know if it's actually going to make it through the winter. So it plants its roots, and that Riccardo is celebrating with carrots, which are roots, potatoes are roots, turnips are roots, Sancho are roots, sassafras is a root. So all of these roots that still continue to feed us. The same way that our thoughts and our ideas in the winter, sometimes we can't express them. You know, we sit at home thinking about the girlfriend and the girl that we want to go out in spring. But in winter, you can't really go out. It's too cold, you know, it's not really going to be fun to go out. So you just sit at home and wait, you know, and in this way we present our roasted vegetables with mustard seeds and our sassafras. There's a thing that happens in New York. There's a thing that happens in New York City. You know, that a lot of things happen, and we don't really understand how. Because there are people like Renee without everyone knowing and everyone noticing, because sometimes they cannot even expose themselves too much for obvious reasons. They are keeping this city running. You know, I can say that owning a restaurant, if it wasn't for immigrants, such as myself and some others at the table, you wouldn't be able to eat the food that you have today. Just a little longer. We're getting very close to the last chapter. So, from that seed, many things are born. One of them, for example, is an artichoke. There's a very important fact about spring and about this plant that just put its roots into the ground and it's trying to grow. It's very fragile. Our intentions, when they're only within us, they're very fragile. It's something that we really have to protect. When you want a seed to open up, you put it in cotton next to your window. You cuddle him every day, it opens up. When it opens up, you have to be very careful. If the wind is too strong, if it gets cold all of a sudden. Last night we had to take our flowers inside, but it was very good weather on Sunday, but then it got cold. If we don't take care of our intentions in the moment in which they're babies, it's going to be tough. So what does nature do? Creates protection. Even though this was a seed, and all that we need is the heart of the artichoke. Look what the artichoke has to create around himself to be one of the first genus vegetables that comes out in the spring. Because it comes out when it's much colder. So what we have to do with this vegetable, which is kind of the same thing that we have to do about ourselves, it's really to take out that protection that we have built for ourselves, which is important. If we didn't create the protection for ourselves, we would have not been able to survive the winter. But at the same time, if we keep all of those protections up, there's nothing to enjoy really. You know, the outside of us, it's like very tough. You know, the artichoke even puts up spines to protect itself, just so that it can preserve that beauty that is within. Now, I do have to say that artichokes are very different in every place that you go. You know, like many vegetables. You have on the back of a very useful chart. Okay, this is made for New York. It has all the months, the design. The only element that you're not gonna find is meat. Okay, so there's not a chart for meat because we don't really recommend eating meat as a dietary choice. But fish, eggs, fruits, vegetables, there's a little chart that explains what it is. What does it do? First of all, if you buy the vegetables that are in season at the market, they're cheaper because they have to move less. That's why cherries are so expensive in December, because we don't need cherries in December. Our body doesn't need cherries. Our body in December needs roots, needs a little bit of carbs, a little bit of fat around the belly to stay warm. When it comes spring, everything is green. So the artichoke, Ricardo went to the heart of it. You know, he boiled it, marinated it for weeks, because the work that we do before, whatever it is that we want to do in life, it's what actually really makes the difference in the result. Why what Ricardo makes is good and what we make at home is not as good. Because Ricardo 3 days ago was already making preparation for this food, because the stock needs to rest for one night, because we need to prepare for whatever it is that we want to do in our life. The element of the spring is fire. So, the dish that Ricardo made tonight,
The fire was before
the fire was burned in the oven, sorry. The artichoke opens up so that inside its heart we can find tenderness, the tenderness that we can eat. So my invitation is, in life, to expose ourselves. And I speak about this now that we all had a couple of glasses of wine, because we are a little bit more open to listen and to receive. One way that I personally practice in my life to attune myself to nature are altered state of consciousness. Because in an altered state of consciousness, you lose control. There's many ways to attune yourself to an altered state of consciousness. An altered state of consciousness that has been very important in mankind evolution. We love getting high from when we're kids, you know, when we spin, and then we stop and we get a little dizzy. Who didn't do it? What was so enjoyable? Getting a little dizzy. As you grow up, you figure out there are other ways to make your head spin, and you try them. Some of them are very beneficial, some of them are not. But my invitation is really to let the protections down in our life, you know, to expose ourselves, especially once you feel safe, to explore your vulnerability, because it's the heart of the artichoke that is the part that is the best part of it. You know, nobody wants to eat what we put outside in order to live in society. Nobody cares about the leaves of the artichokes. Have you tried them? Like, no, when you get to this part, it's good. But at this point, you can only eat the bottom of the artichoke. You can't eat the leaf. You know, if the leaf were the clothes, and these artichokes are not as good as they should be to eat them raw. So my invitation is like, look for the spines in your own personality. Take them off. Let others access to your heart the same way that Ricardo helped us to access to the heart of an artichoke tonight. Artichoke is stuffed with life, It's stuffed with healthy things. There are spring peas, there is quinoa. What else do we have?
artichokes, Swiss chard. Only one thing I wanna come back about the heart of the artichokes. I also left some. It's gonna be a little bit chewy. Okay, so don't expect to really have clean artichokes super soft, because the life is not always easy, no? Sometimes you have something that is chewy in life, and I think that when you chew this artichoke tonight, don't say, oh fuck, it's chewy. No, it's chewy because there is a reason. Continues to eat, and then after a couple of bites, it's gonna be easy to eat. So okay, so don't take these couple of leaves hard and chewy. Oh, the chef forgot. No, I didn't purpose. So and that's it. There is on top a little bit of mint. A little bit of the mint is powdered, but there is some tarragon and oil made with parsley and lemon zest. And the quinoa, it's mixed also with some tofu. So there is tofu, peas, artichoke, Swiss chard, and that's it. Right, so I'm gonna finish here.
Wow, great. To know that there are cycles, you know, at least you know more or less what's going to happen. But what do you do with these cycles? What makes, what helps us to get
está
into
ajudando
this
nós
rhythm and to attune
a entrar
ourselves
nessa
to this cycle.
vibração.
Eating, definitely. Eating seasonally.
Comendo,
Just go with it. Absolutely.
vai com...
But actually, yes and no. Because
Mas na verdade
just going
sim
with
e
it,
não.
we don't really realize what is
Porque
happening.
se nós
Sometimes in life we
estamos,
just go with it. And it's cool to be able to
vai
just
com
go
a
with it
estação,
and flow.
nada vai acontecer.
But if we know where we are
Mas se
flowing
nós
and what
estamos
is happening
sabendo
around
que na
us,
verdade
that
está
can help us.
acontecendo dessas
So,
estações, pode ajudar nós mesmos.
the importance of identifying where we are
É muito importante
acknowledging
saber aonde nós
is
estamos.
very fundamental in order to move in this wheel. What did men do in order to acknowledge this passage?
Na
Rituals.
verdade, saber que está
The rituals
acontecendo dessa
is
estação
what
que você
we
está.
do today to acknowledge our past and to prepare for our future. Every time that we take a ritual in our life, we are acknowledging where we are, where we have been, and where we want to go. And the ritual doesn't have to be necessarily a shamanic journey in Peru for a week. Lighting a candle, turning up your coffee pot in the morning, closing your book at night, even turning on the TV can be a ritual. Because the ritual is in the intention.
Tudo
That's
pode
the
ser
moment in which we
ritual,
set
porque
our
o ritual
intention.
está na intenção.
So, I personally experience on a daily basis what it means to have my life in the wheel. Things happen. You know, I opened this restaurant a year and a half ago, and I made the terrible mistake of opening in autumn. There was nothing worse than that I could have done. I found myself putting everything I had in autumn into the restaurant, and then in the winter it was so cold, and in the time in which I was supposed to stay home and just think, I had to be here. It was awful. So throughout 2018, I have completely changed this rhythm. I have taken it slow. I have said, you know what, if it's winter, I just go with the flow of winter. So I'm not really going to go out and try to make things happen in winter because they're not going to happen. It's like swimming against current. You know, at a certain point you just draw. While if you wait, and actually just patiently wait for nature to happen, to have its course, things come out a little easier. And so that's how when it came autumn, also thanks to the meeting with Pravda, which is the company that is helping us to grow the restaurant and to put together this event, we start brainstorming. So in autumn, what does the farmer do? He looks at his crop, he looks at what he had the year before, and he figures out, was it good or not? Do I have to plant more? Do I have to give them more water? Do I need more sun? Do I need more plants? How do I do? And I realized at first I was doing very bad. So I cut off everything. For winter I said no more. I'm staying in here, I'm waiting for things to happen. And things start happening. So I met Ricardo. Thanks to the guys from Pravda that introduced us. I met Ricardo and we had our first meeting at a place called The Bean. Without really thinking about it. But The Bean is where everything starts. And that was right in the middle of winter. And in the time of germination, we actually were planting our roots in deciding what we wanted to do. We actually agreed, he gave his resignation from the previous place right at the beginning of spring, equinox, the ritual. The ritual that makes us stop, move from the place of the mind, the winter, to the time of the soul, the action, the spring. So rituals are very important in our life. One ritual that we do, ritual also help us to understand the invisible world. Because sometimes we do rituals and we don't know if like lighting a candle with an intention is going to help us for something or not, which helps us believe. So, but through practicing rituals, we make things happen. So one of the rituals that we're going to practice tonight is a very simple ritual of purification. The three spiritual paths of spring are purity. The purity that we have to reach to have clarity. Clarity of vision, clarity of intention. That clarity is going to bring us the illumination. So for us also as a new business, we purify what has been in this space. This space has had a restaurant for like 45 years. Many things happened. Gypsy Kings were in this room.
esse lugar do restaurante existe 45 anos,
Many
muitas
others.
coisas acontecendo neste lugar.
Sage, white sage is used in most culture
Está usado
to purify.
para
The
purificação.
fumes that come from these plants have a
A fumaça que
purifying
vem dessa
power.
planta está
Chris
purificando.
is gonna come around.
Chris vai
You know what, Chris? Você pode cantar, eu vou passar. Chris is gonna sing.
Vai.
Chris vai cantar.
Singing is a very important factor of ancient society. It's the way that they were expressing themselves, they
canto
were
está
praying.
muito importante.
So we're going to accompany the saging, this marching that we're going to do with some songs that invoke cleansing, purity.
Com canção que invoca
Purification.
claridade, purificação. Qual é? Mas você lembra?
Vai, Cris.
Defuma com as ervas da Jurema, defuma com a ruda e guiné, defuma com as ervas da Jurema, defuma com a ruda e guiné, beijo e alegria ao fazer mar. Ora vamos defumar, filhos de fé. Beijo e alegria ao fazer mar.
If you close your
Ora
eyes,
vamos defumar,
if you
filhos
close
de
your eyes
fé.
when the sage comes in and take a
Defuma,
breath,
defuma com as ervas da Jurema. Defuma com a ruda e guiné. Defuma com as ervas da Jurema. Defuma com a ruda e guiné. Beijo e alegria ao fazer mar. Ora vamos defumar, filhos de fé. Beijo e alegria ao fazer mar. Ora vamos defumar, filhos de fé. Defumar, defuma com as ervas da Jurema. Defuma com a ruda e guiné. Defuma com as ervas da Jurema. Defuma com a ruda e guiné. Beijo e alegria ao fazer mar. Ora vamos defumar, filhos de fé. Beijo e alegria ao fazer mar. Ora vamos defumar, filhos de fé.
Um outro jeito de comer, de viver uma noite, né? Uma vivência gastronômica, espiritual.
I made a stock. I burned all the onion skin. Okay, I didn't throw away. I burned all the onion skin and I made a stock with a burned spring onion skin. And then I braised the spring onion. I made a puree. And then we made a juice with beets. And then there is some beets powder and some bay leaves powder. Onion and bay leaves is something I remember my childhood. Because I'm from Venice, there was a really typical preparation called saor, which was this onion braised with bay leaves and a little bit of vinegar. So that's why there is a little bit of lemon zest here to give a little bit of acidity. And the bay leaves, the onion, really remember me the saor, this preparation that came from my childhood. It's a little bit of dente. I know maybe sometimes we usually eat rice, especially when we go to the Japanese restaurant. The rice it's more cooked, more softer. In Italy, the rice we love to eat
Isso é o
al dente,
diferencial
so
daqui.
crunchy and you feel the texture of the grain.
Você vai sentir o textinho mais alegre.
Esse é o diferencial que o...
Instead to use regular butter or cheese, I use coconut butter, okay? So this way it's completely vegan.
Esqueci uma coisa e eu usei. Hello, I'm Marina Danilian and I'm here in Osteria 57 and we're having a very special inspirational dinner with a lot of people here, which I'll show you in a little bit. It's very interesting, a lot of topics about how to eat according to the seasons, and whichever is very good in the seasons and the most appropriate food that benefits our soul, mind, body, and everything that is really good for us. So first I'm going to show you a little bit of what's going on here. We're almost in the end. There's a lot of people still really enjoying, and I'll ask our first person here, Anna, how was this dinner for you? How did you feel?
I really liked the first few meals. It was what I ate here, roots, and I love it. So it was delicious. Really good.
Do you usually eat like this according to the season, would you say?
I usually eat vegan, not according to the season. But it was really good to experience it.
Is there anything that you learned today that you would really catch you or you would want to remember?
Because I love radishes, I'm probably gonna try to eat more radishes and cook them the way they cook them.
Woohoo! Okay, the next person we will ask our friend here, paesano italiano.
Allora, eu sou Leo Artese, aqui para falar do xamanismo da Roda Medicinal. No, ciao, sono Filippo, lui è Leo. Io sono
Speak in English.
Ah, in English, sorry. I'm not Leo, sorry, I wish. He is Leo. I'm Filippo, and I'm enjoying this wonderful evening, this great experience of having more consciousness in what we put in our body, how we feed ourselves, and being in harmony also with the seasons of life.
What is the most memorable thing that you could remember from today's dinner and share it with people?
Well, I don't know if I can share it with people because it's something unique, but the most memorable thing is to be sitting next to Leo Artese.
Você tem 5%.
Para acrescentar, Osteria 57 ganhou o prêmio de melhor pasta, de melhor macarrão de Nova Iorque, com um macarrão vegano, sem glúten, mas feito principalmente com muito amor. Isso é comida inspiracional, isso é alimento medicina. Copie essa ideia.